Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, John Beeman with the McGraw Council. And today we are joined by Chad Tongco of Primaris Market Development. Chad, you've been on our podcast before. We've hosted a seminar. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. This is my complete pleasure, John. Thanks for having me again.
The pleasure is truly ours, truly ours. Every time you come on, you always have something insightful, something I haven't heard before, and I guarantee you millions of other people haven't heard. So with that in mind, what have you for us today?
Well, John, today we're going to be talking about social media and the mystique behind it, and basically kind of unraveling that to practical pieces that we can apply to our businesses literally today. And our whole goal is to be able to create a social media strategy for 30 days within a 30-day time frame and make sure you're consistent and so on and so forth. So I look forward to having a fruitful discussion with you about it.
Looking forward to it. So where does that conversation even start? 'Cause I mean, it's kind of like talking marketing when you're talking social media today. That's not even going off into the which platform should we be on. What's kind of like the starting point when you say social media discussion?
Yeah.
Where do you even start with that?
Well, due to our time constraints, we're going to specifically focus on Instagram and Facebook, but more so on Instagram. The reason
Perfect.
being is we've got, in terms of interaction, in terms of people that are actually seeing your products because of the type of photos that are implemented or allowed on the platform, it's a really good way to get your brand awareness out there.
Elaborate, please, because I've also heard the different target audience issue.
Absolutely. So Instagram certainly has a little bit more of a younger crowd, if you will, but also a little bit more creative, a little bit more almost eccentric type of crowd. But in today's world, if you're looking at it, a lot of millennials and a lot of Gen Zs are definitely on Instagram. And it's something that every business should have a platform, should have an account on Instagram. The reason being is because there are a lot of engagements happening there. And considering that Facebook owns Instagram as well, there are a lot of integrations happening between Instagram and Facebook, where if you're using a social media management platform, you could literally leverage that platform to post both on Facebook and Instagram.
So, questions for you then, because I don't want to veer off your conversation too much, because I know you have a little bit of a structure here. But with that in mind, we're going to open this up and make this personal. The McGraw Council doesn't use Instagram. Are we making a mistake by not using Instagram, even though we very well know our target audience isn't there? Do we still need to have Instagram?
Well, I would approach it from the perspective of who are we looking to serve specifically, and where can they be found? Based on who we are as an organization, right? The McGraw Council, it is geared for micro and small businesses all across our country. And considering that creatives, most of them are small or micro or small businesses. And so they could also be found there. But surprisingly enough, there are a lot of e-commerce companies as well on Instagram. Being able to share their products there. They now have a component where you could actually sell specific products on Instagram. So
interesting.
It's a really neat platform. I would definitely consider looking into it. I'm not saying it's a mistake not being on it, but it would be worthwhile to consider.
So, saying it politely, restated, we're missing an opportunity.
Absolutely. If we're trying to reach micro businesses, we definitely need to be there.
Y'all, it's been less than 5 minutes and I already learned something. Please, Jack, keep going.
And so today, what we're going to specifically talk about is how we can break down our post structure and ensure that it is viable, it is also efficient and effective, because I think that is the biggest misconception or misunderstanding about social media. We don't have a specific format or standard operating procedure, if you will, that people tend to, I guess, operate within. When you post social media, you're not sure if you should post a video, you should post a story on Instagram, or you should post simply text without, facial recognition. So I'm going to break down the mystique of that, John, in the next 15 to 20 minutes. just so we can have some real practical insights that our businesses here on McGraw Council can implement literally today.
Beautiful.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on is how we can create a social media strategy for the next 30 days in one day. And so how we can determine that, and because it can be really time consuming. So let's start off with, our posts. A standard post needs to have 3 specific components whenever you're posting on social media,
Okay,
whether Instagram or Facebook. The first component that is critical to be a part of the post is basically a hook, something that would catch an audience attention, right? Your audience attention. Secondly, you want to have value, right? What kind of value can you provide? And then last, but certainly not the least, and more, this is kind of probably the most important aspect of it, would be the call to action, as it pertains to our businesses or organizations.
Which could be as something, sign up or like this page or buy this product. It could be, it's not necessarily limited to transferring money, so to speak.
Correct. It really, most of the time, it pertains to engagement, inviting your audience to engage with your post. Because the way algorithms work on both Instagram and Facebook is they look at, and it's not, again, algorithms are embedded codes, right, within AI. And so these are not controlled by humans by any means. So what they do is they determine which posts have the most engagement. And that will then make it a little bit more visible to your specific followers. Now, keep in mind, your followers, your post, only 10% of your followers literally see them upon you initially posting it. Okay. The more engagement you get, the more and more of your followers will see that specific post. That's why influencers on all levels, from micro to small, to medium, to even the largest influencers, they're all gauged based on their post engagement. It's not necessarily the amount of followers that they have.
So when we're talking engagement, is that anything and everything from likes to hearts to the shocked face, the angry face, to comments? Is all the above, or is there one that carries more weight? I mean, because the rumor mill that I heard for a while was comments were huge, obviously sharing because it broadens the audience, but then also having a diversity of those emoji reactions. True, false, misnomer, true for a while.
So they're all true. They're all equally carry the same weight. Comments are good because you actually get to have that two-way interaction, that you and I have discussed even during our time at Yale. It's having that bilateral interaction with your audience is such a critical component of social media, right? And the second thing is the likes, the shares, all of that works very well in terms of earned media. When we're talking earned media, because when you like a specific comment, specifically on Facebook, your followers or your friends typically, will see John Beeman like this or Chad Tongco like this, right? Or when you share something, now you're engaging it you're sharing it with your network.
And real quick, can you just define earned media? Because we've been through the program, we know what it is, but prior to going to that program, I had no idea.
Yeah. So earned media is essentially something that let me I'll get excited about earned media. So earned media is basically the best way to market your organization, because you're getting endorsements from your friends, your family, even your specific network about your specific cause or business. So let's say I post something about the McGraw Council and it becomes relevant to a couple of my friends and they end up sharing it. At that point, their post becomes an earned media from myself and the McGraw Council.
Gotcha. So it's very much that down cycle, so to speak. Someone takes the content you create, they share it, no pun intended, and then bam, that's your earned media.
Yes, absolutely. So, and the good news about that is it's free. That's the most beautiful aspect of earned media. Yeah, that is the most beautiful aspect of earned media. So same goes with Instagram. Even though you can't repost well, I mean, you can now with this third-party app. You could use a repost app, but on a specific like story. You can reshare someone's story that they tag you on.
Mhm.
Those are the type of interactions that would help earn a little bit more recognition for your business.
Okay, so that's where you really double up the importance of especially brand awareness when you're using multiple platforms. Even though your end user target audience might not be there, it's getting the name out. It's being at the forefront of consumer behavior, which especially with COVID, I mean, obviously you're in California, so it's a lot harsher there.
Yeah.
Succeeding and thriving in that digital space is essential.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, John, it's about, about maybe 5-6 years ago now, social media has become a really important aspect, almost a required aspect of a business.
Mhm.
You no longer really can operate a business without it, especially if you're trying to grow and experience some sort of at least engagement initiative.
Yep. So then turning this to applying it, because we've got our hook, value, and CTA, call to action. Walk us through an example of what that might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So it all will go back down to your copy. And what I'll do is I'll read a couple of things for you, right?
Awesome.
Let me. So let's see. For a specific for a specific hook, what I typically do is I would look into 5 different topics for a specific month. So what we do is we create a board, and within that board, we identify 5 topics that we want to touch on for that particular month, and we would recycle that week after week. So what I mean by that is this. Let me pull that up.
So this takes a little bit of research too to put out, quality, engaging, you might even say insightful content, not just because if you look at content marketing, that was big pretty recently. I mean, not that long ago, but even go back 5 years, it was almost like just put something out to keep that touch point going. But
Yeah.
now we're kind of like transitioned to where it needs to have a little more of a, what do I do with it?
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, it's not working, but screen share is not working for some reason, but that's okay. I'm going to give 5 specific topics that we would touch on. The first one is behind the scenes in the business, giving someone insight on what's going on on my day-to-day or in the organizational level or on a personal level. And then the second topic we do is my why, our organizational why, which ties into our mission and vision, why we exist. Thirdly would be kind of a personal insight as either a business owner or a business executive, why I do what I do in terms of, the trade that I'm a part of or the industry that I'm a part of. The fourth insight or topic would be encouragement. How can I find a way to encourage my peers and my audience? And then fifth would be about me. How can we talk about what's important about me and why this would apply to you as my audience and also my business? And then last but certainly not the least, benefits. How can you talk about the benefits of your products? How can you highlight about that and determine the value that your products can give to your audience or customers?
So this is another one. I've got a fun question for you on. We'll use the McGraw Council as an example here. Everything we put out is really built on the audience. It's really not too internal. It's not, I mean, to your point about those things you just listed, the one thing I would say we really lack here is that about us, so to speak, in terms of showing the internal. Again, that a mistake, just a type of preferential marketing or good, bad, indifferent?
I'd say, it's pretty indifferent, John, because I think at this point, what we're trying to accomplish, at least with the McGraw Council, is determining really, the value of what this council is about, right? And sharing it out there. So it is, although super helpful to have specific topics ahead of time, that you'd want to talk about. So again, the topics that I had just mentioned, it can be pretty broad, but it could also be very specific, right?
Okay.
It's kind of like a a mind map, if you will, where you've got your bubbles up top and you've got your different branches in the bottom. That's what typically happens. So for us, if you could see this board behind me, this is our 30-day social media post engagement. It literally is, it's planned out. We plan this out every first Monday of each month, and we track down from posts to actions, what kind of topics are associated per day. And we ensure that, we have a post coming out each and every single day, because with social media, again, with the interactions and the algorithm, it's incredibly important to be consistent.
For sure. So then to that point, I know the answer to this one already, but I'm going to ask anyway. I assume that you have metrics that you track for all that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we do is on a month-to-month basis, before we implement something like this, we know what our previous month metrics are, and then determine, month later, if we experience any improvement or if we actually decreased in terms of interactions.
Okay, so then you would build that plan or campaign, so to speak, in such a way you could compare in a pretty controlled fashion. Hey, we tweaked this dial over here and this shifted. That was the only thing that changed. So we have our former variable now constant.
Yeah. So let me see. Let me try the share screen again, because this would highlight.
Let me pull this up here like that. There we go.
Excellent. So you're gonna wanna make your screen a full screen. I don't know if you could see this.
If you go full screen, I can.
Okay.
Perfect.
So what you see here is actually my wife's photography page. We're using Planoly as our social media management software or platform.
Okay.
And what you see here are basically posts that we've determined we'd like to put on our feed, to curate our feed based on our brand, right? So what you see on the top here would be unscheduled post, and then what you see in the very bottom here would be the ones that we've actually already posted and scheduled, right? So
okay,
let's see here. I'm gonna go all the way down. And what's neat about something like this is you see the different interactions, the different comments, the likes, and this is pertinent to Instagram specifically. And you'd be able to determine the analytics, if you go here.
This is so fascinating. I mean, digital marketing is, when you really go to the nth degree, it is a very, very calculated science.
Yeah. And then, it's noted down per location. You've got your engagement rates, your impressions, your reach. They're all noted down here. And then obviously the amount of followers that you have, different changes. It looks like in 7 days or so, we lost about 4 followers. And we don't gauge social media success based on the followers, again, because it's really about the engagement, right? The type of people that are engaging with your brand.
That's an important one to note too, real quick too, because even I find myself falling into that one. You gotta get the followers. You gotta get the followers. No, not inherently. It's better to have a smaller quantity of followers that is of higher quality, more engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about engagement. Now, obviously, the more followers you have, the more reach you'll have. But if they're not engaging, then what's the point, right?
Exactly. Or if it's not even a relevant audience. I mean, for example, if we're catering to that American small business and we had 1 million followers, but they were all in Eastern Europe, and they weren't businesses, it's like, well, we've got a lot of followers, but it's not an engaged following.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's another aspect of it that we really like is the calendar. The calendar provides a component where Planoly itself, let's see, I think it's right here. Planoly itself provides an opportunity for them to show us which holidays should we be posting, any different entertainment should we be posting, both on the global and US level. And then what's really awesome is this. The grid quick schedule are basically best times to post on social media based on the platform that you're are targeting. So for us, it's Instagram and Facebook. They've already, their algorithms have already predetermined these are the specific time frames that you'd like to post based on your audience. Okay, and for us, we've got 3 point something thousand, 3.3 thousand, and so based on the 3.3 thousand audiences that you have, these are the best time frames to basically post. What you see here, we've got a scheduled post for today at 11 a.m. That will automatically post, and then tomorrow at 9 a.m. We'd like to typically, get a week or 2 weeks in advance on our posts because of what we're able to determine through the topics that we've, identified.
Okay, so it's just like all information overload. I'm still trying to like process it. So, question then, and that data, like the holiday posting, the best time of day posting, are those norms for those specific platforms, or is that for your industry?
It's specific to the platform.
Okay.
So if you let's say buy Planoly or subscribe to Planoly, you'll have the same access as we do.
Okay, so it's going to then show you, post XYZ, don't forget your holiday post, whatever that might be, and then you go all the way down the list from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now for the fun part, information overload. What's the summary? What do we need to do today to use what we just learned?
Great. So first thing is to ensure that we have our why, our topics, and then we want to make sure that every post that we post have the hook, the value, and the call to action.
Got it. Okay, I'm just taking notes here on pen and paper. Sorry. Sometimes I get old fashioned, even with virtual reality and technology.
Yeah.
Pen and paper still go a long way. So have your topics and then have your posts that all contain the hook, value, and call to action.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. And the good news is, we've got, there are a lot of organizations out there, John, with Primaris. We've got with clients, we're able to do this for clients for a super small amount of money. And that's the good news. People have, I think, though, looking at the industry, people can hire an organization to outsource their social media for like $100 a month. And that's literally like them posting every day for you or 3 times a week or whatever it is. It's pretty cheap.
Oh, wow. That's again, part of that whole world that there are so many misnomers and false assumptions. It's like, go talk to an expert because there's a lot there. Again, look at consumer behavior. That's where consumers are spending their time statistically.
Yeah.
And as business owners, we have the obligation to go meet them where they are and then bring them into our whatever system, a funnel, social media, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You've got to meet the consumer where they are. And today it's social media.
Yeah. And if you see a need of us putting together a full webinar, about social media alone to break down the information that I shared, because I know that's a lot, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. We definitely just want to be able to provide value for our people.
I'm going to take you up on that. We're going to get this on the calendar. I'll send you some calendar days, and we're going to make this a seminar. Y'all stay tuned.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, John. My pleasure. Take care.
You too. Y'all, thanks so much for joining us. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed. Remember to like our Facebook page and drop a comment. If this is something that impacted you, please tell us how it impacted you. Or maybe there was a false assumption that you had coming into this that you don't believe anymore, or maybe you learned something new. Drop a comment. Let's get some engagement going and have fun with it. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed. And remember, we're bullish on the American dream and we're bullish on your future. Take care, y'all.